What is up, Abernathy Antelope football fans? Getting you ready for week 2 of the Abernathy football season. Ty Horsford here with you, the voice of the Abernathy Antelopes. Abernathy just finishing up practice on this Wednesday afternoon at Antelope Stadium, putting in some preparations ahead of this Friday night's contest with the Sundown Roughnecks. Here we are, the second edition of the Abernathy Antelope pregame show. Again, coming your way. We'll post these videos to our YouTube channel every Thursday night prior to Friday's kickoff. But this week, the Abernathy Antelope, some good news to talk about. A 1-0, fresh off of a season opening win last Friday night on the road up in Amarillo. They got the 33-12 victory over the River Road Wildcats up at Wildcat Stadium in Amarillo. A dominant performance for the Antelopes. They scored the first 33 points of the contest. They led 33-0 after 3 quarters. A 12-0 fourth quarter for River Road made things look a little bit better come the Saturday morning newspaper, but a dominant effort for the Antelopes last week. Again, a 33-12 victory over the River Road Wildcats to get the 2019 season started off with a bang. 1-0, the Abernathy Antelopes. But River Road now in the rearview mirror, if you will, and the Abernathy Antelopes preparing for a matchup, probably a little bit of a tougher matchup than what you saw last Friday night, as Abernathy again hits the road. They're headed to the oil patch, about an hour trip here from Abernathy to the southwest, and they're going to go to Roughneck Stadium in Sundown Friday night, 7:30 kickoff time. We'll have that broadcast for you, obviously, beginning at 7:15. But the Abernathy Antelopes and the Sundown Roughnecks are going to do battle this coming Friday night, 7:30 p.m. Again, both teams going to be 1-0 heading into the season, into week 2 of the season. Sundown, a 35-23 winner over Wink last Friday night. So both of these teams are looking to get to a perfect 2-0 on the season. A couple of things to note about this contest. Last year, these two teams also met in week 2 of the season. It was a 20-point win for Abernathy, 48-28 over the same Sundown Roughnecks a year ago. That was a shootout here at Antelope Stadium on that second Friday night of the 2018 season. Again, Abernathy a 48-28 winner. One interesting thing to note, these two teams have kind of made it a tradition to meet up in the non-district portion of the schedule. In fact, Abernathy has won the last 7 consecutive meetings between these two teams, dating back to 2012. 2011, the last time Sundown defeated the Abernathy Antelopes. That was a 14-7 decision in Sundown. But again, Abernathy has won 7 straight in the series, and they're looking to make it 8 in a row coming up this Friday night at 7:30 on the road in Sundown. Let's take a quick look at the opponent as we scout the Sundown Roughnecks here this evening from Antelope Stadium. Sundown, we mentioned, 1-0 on the 2019 season, a 35-23 winner over Wink last Friday night. This coming week against the Antelopes going to be the home opener for Sundown, so a little extra enthusiasm probably going to be in the building for the Sundown faithful, is just like the Antelopes. Sundown opened the season on the road at Wink. 411 yards of offense last Friday night for the Sundown Roughnecks. They did it both through the air and on the ground. 270 yards through the air, 141 rushing yards for the Roughnecks. So kind of like River Road, you're going to get an opponent that will throw the football first. A similar look to what River Road throws at you. They're going to spread the field. They're going to try and beat you in space. They've got some speed that they're going to try and use in the open field, some dips and dunks and things of that nature. But the Sundown Roughnecks, again, coming in a pass-first ball club, but hey, they rushed for 141 yards last week as well, so they can get it done on the ground. The name you're going to hear most when Sundown has the ball, and you're going to remember this name also if you watched this game or listened to the broadcast of this ball game last year, because their senior quarterback is back. Christian Huey, their senior signal caller. The offense will definitely run through Huey. He had a really good effort last Friday night. 9 of 17, 4 of his 9 completed passes went for touchdowns for the Sundown Roughnecks. So he's a guy that can put it in the air a lot. He loves the big play and tries to go deep down the field, maybe a little bit more than what we saw from River Road's quarterback in Lance Welps. And so Christian Huey, a very capable quarterback, a big play type of quarterback, not as much of a running threat or dual threat quarterback as maybe what we saw last week in Welps, but a guy that can definitely beat you with his arm. He also did not throw an interception last Friday night against Wink. Rushing the ball wise, again, Sundown will line it up. They'll try and run it in space. It's kind of running back by committee for the Roughnecks, as they've got a few different guys that can beat you. They've got an E.J. Hernandez, 13 carries for 59 yards last Friday night. You have a Caden Marshall. Remember that name, Marshall, 39 yards on 9 carries, just a sophomore is Marshall. And you've also got Cade Conway, 32 yards on 10 carries. So you had a back that had 10, a back that had 9, and a back that had 13 carries last week for the Sundown Roughnecks. So they're going to spread it around. That's one of the dangerous things, I think, about this ball club, is you don't know where the football is going. They've got multiple guys that can beat you. Unlike last week, you kind of had a River Road ball club that was the Lance Welps show. That is not necessarily the case. Sundown, a very well-balanced attack, and a lot of different guys out there for Sundown that can beat you. So the Abernathy defense going to have its hands full with a very dangerous and big play offense in the Sundown Roughnecks. And then check this out, wide receiver Gus Davis. Davis going to be the favorite target of Huey. He had 3 touchdown catches last week, 5 total completions, 161 yards. So 3 of the 5 receptions went for touchdowns, 161 yards receiving, again, for the wide receiver Gus Davis. Keeping an ear out for that name as well when you talk about the Sundown Roughnecks. And so that's a quick tell of the tape, if you will, on the opponent come Friday night, the Sundown Roughnecks. Let's switch gears just a little bit, and we will talk about the good guys. The Abernathy Antelopes, again, coming in 1-0 on the season. The Antelopes fresh off of that 21-point victory, 33-12 against those River Road Wildcats. Second consecutive road game to open the season for Abernathy. And so Abernathy still has not tasted that home turf right here at Antelope Stadium. That time's coming soon. But again, hitting the road, heading south instead of north to take on Sundown. Again, in that matchup last week, 33-0 after 3 quarters. Game never in doubt with River Road. Ends up with the 33-12 victory last Friday night. And I think the most impressive thing, and I mentioned this if you were able to listen to the broadcast last Friday night, but 5 different Antelopes find the end zone. And that is a huge key for the Antelopes to be successful this year, as they've got a very dangerous offense. And when you've got 5 different guys finding the end zone, man, you're going to be very, very difficult to beat. And I think that's one of the strengths of this Abernathy Antelope Ball Club. Quarterback Bryson Daly. Again, we talked about him on the pregame show last week. We'll probably talk about him each week. The senior Antelope quarterback, 4-year starter. Again, the offense runs through him. Tossed 3 touchdown passes last Friday night against River Road, 10, 24, and 36 yards. Jess Hole, Sean Rodriguez, and Nicholas Deonda, the 3 recipients of those touchdown passes. Daly also ran one in from about 9 yards out. Avery Clarkson was big for the Antelopes as well. He actually led the Antelope rushing attack. He rushed for the game's first touchdown last week. 89 yards total, so just shy of a 100-yard rusher in Avery Clarkson for the Abernathy Antelopes. He's going to be the guy you see it given to in the backfield the most by quarterback Bryson Daly. Jake Ayers, when we talked about him on the pregame show last week, he made us look pretty smart. A big night last Friday night for Ayers. He was Bryson Daly's favorite target. He didn't find the end zone, but he also had 5 catches, 63 yards in that receiving core for the Abernathy Antelopes. So you've got some guys right there that are going to really make things difficult on the Sundown defense. A Sundown defense that was kind of susceptible last week, giving up 23 points to Wink. And so maybe an opportunity for the Antelope offense to kind of get some things going even more so offensively than they did this last Friday night. Wouldn't at all be surprised to see a shootout between these two teams. Definitely a very capable offense the Antelope defense is going to be facing in the Sundown Roughnecks. And defensively, Abernathy led again by Clarkson, 6 tackles. And then you had Miles Keith, another guy we talked about, a senior leader on that defensive front. He had 5 tackles last week, but 2 for loss behind the line of scrimmage. Again, an Antelope defense, they gave up some yards between the 20s, but all in all, they kept River Road out of the end zone. That's the goal. They did that for 3 quarters. Then you had a busted play where Welps ran 98 yards for a touchdown late in that ball game. But really outside of that, a dominant performance by the Abernathy Antelopes last Friday night. Again, Clarkson along with Miles Keith going to be anchoring that Antelope defense. Also, should see Matthew Deonda back as well. We mentioned him on the pregame show last Friday. He was out due to injury, some final nursing of an injury, but he should be back and better than ever, hopefully, come Friday night from what we've heard. And it's going to be great to have the Antelope linebacker back in that lineup as well. Look for him to make a name for himself on that Abernathy Antelope defense. But it should be a good one coming up this Friday night as the Abernathy Antelopes are set to take on the Sundown Roughnecks. Again, should be an exciting contest as those teams hook up again Friday night, 7:30. We'll have the broadcast for you beginning at 7:15 p.m. Again, coming to you live. Well, it's not live as you watch this. I'm just kind of used to saying that, but we're coming to you this afternoon. Abernathy just finishing up practice on a Wednesday afternoon here at Antelope Stadium. As you watch this, again, about 24 hours out from the Abernathy Antelopes and the Sundown Roughnecks. Again, as we move forward, looking to get some player interviews, some things like that going here. So stick with us. If you've got ideas, questions you want answered, we would love to talk about those here on the Abernathy Antelope pregame show. Love doing this, love covering the Antelopes. Your 8th ranked Antelopes looking to go 2-0 on the 2019 season. Friday night on the road at Sundown. Hopefully we'll be right back with you next Thursday night talking about a 2-0 Abernathy Ball Club getting ready for a fun showdown with the Wellington Skyrockets. But for now, we'll say good night and God bless. This is Ty Horsford at the Abernathy Antelope Football Stadium here in Abernathy, Texas.